The alley. It was raining in New York. Not the kind of rain that makes you want to stay inside with warm tea. It was the cold kind. Sharp biting, soaking through your clothes and making you feel like the city wanted to push you out. The streets were quiet except for the sound of dripping gutters and distant sirens. Under a broken street lamp, a figure moved quietly. Black coat, black boots. It was him, Keanu Reeves. Or maybe John Wick. People always confuse the two. But tonight, something felt different. He walked down a narrow alley with his hand on the grip of a gun tucked in his coat. His breath came, slow. His eyes scanned every corner. The man he was looking for was dangerous. A trafficker. Someone who hurt children. Keanu wasn't hunting for revenge this time. This was justice. Silent, swift, and cold. But then he heard something that stopped him. A cough. A small, shaky cough. Keanu turned his head toward the sound. There, half hidden behind a pile of soaked cardboard, was a boy, no older than 10, shivering, thin, his arms wrapped around himself like he was trying to disappear into his own chest. The boy didn't run, just looked up, eyes wide, scared but not of the rain. Of something deeper. Keanu stepped closer, slowly, carefully. "You shouldn't be here," I said in a soft voice, the kind that didn't match the gun in his coat or the shadows on his face. The boy didn't answer. Keanu crouched down, just a few feet away. He could see now the boy had bruises on his cheek, old ones and fresh ones. His shoes were mismatched. He was wearing a girl's jacket that didn't fit. "Are you hungry?" Keanu asked. The boy looked down and nodded. Keanu sighed. He knew he had a job to do. He was close. The man he was hunting was only 2 blocks away, but something about the boy held him in place. Like time had paused. Like this moment mattered more. He slowly reached into his coat, but the boy flinched. "Hey, it's okay," Keanu said. "I'm just—" He pulled out a protein bar instead of the gun. The boy stared. "Here, take it." The boy crawled forward, eyes still locked on Keanu's. He grabbed the bar and tore into it like he hadn't eaten in days. Maybe he, in single quotes. Keanu sat down, right there in the dirty alley, beside the boy. "What's your name?" he asked. "Eli," the boy said between bites. "Eli," Keanu repeated. "Where's your family?" "Gone." Keanu didn't ask more. He didn't need to. He'd seen too much of this world. Too many kids like Eli. A noise echoed from the end of the alley. Trash can tipping over. Quick footsteps. Keanu, single quotes, eyes snapped up. He stood fast. From the darkness, a man appeared. Tall, rough, carrying a knife. Paused when he saw Keanu. "You," the man said. Keanu stepped forward. "You were following me." The man growled. Keanu didn't speak. His coat shifted. The man reached for his knife. Keanu moved faster than lightning, but as he pulled the gun from his coat, his hand slipped. The gun fell. Right in front of Eli. Time froze. Eli looked at the gun. The man looked at Eli. Keanu looked at them both. What happened next would change everything. Keanu took one slow step forward. Eli reached out. His hand hovered over the gun. "Don't," Keanu said gently. Eli looked up. His fingers shook. The man lunged. Keanu didn't grab the gun. He grabbed the boy. He shielded him. The knife sliced through the air, cutting across Keanu's arm. He didn't cry out. He turned and used his body to protect Eli, falling back into the wet ground. With one arm, he pushed the boy behind him. With the other, he punched the man's knee from below. The man stumbled. Keanu rolled, grabbed the gun, aimed up, didn't fire. He stood, bleeding, soaking, but still calm. "Leave," said the man. Hesitated. Keanu took one step closer now. The man ran. The alley was silent again. Eli crawled to Keanu. You didn't shoot him?" Keanu looked down at the gun, then he looked at the boy. "Sometimes," said, "being strong means not pulling the trigger." Eli stared at him like he had never seen anyone like him before, and maybe he hadn't, because in that moment, John Wick disappeared, and only Keanu remained. The kind of man who would bleed for a boy he didn't know, who would drop a gun, raise a child. And somewhere in the distance, the rain slowed to a quiet drizzle. The motel room's night hadn't ended, but something inside Keanu felt like it had begun. Eli walked beside him, holding the protein bar wrapper like it was something precious. They didn't talk much on the way. Keanu's arm was bleeding, but he didn't show pain. Not for himself. It's only concern for the boy who had no one. The streets were wet, the cars hissed by, and neon lights flickered from closed diners and pawn shops. When they reached a cheap old motel, Keanu nodded to the man. At the desk, the guy looked up, then quickly looked back down. Maybe he recognized him. Maybe he didn't. Either way, nobody asked questions. Inside the room, the light buzzed. There was only one bed, a chair, and a small table. The walls were stained with years of cigarette smoke, but it was warm. Safe, Keanu closed the door gently and locked it. Eli stood near the corner, unsure if he was allowed to move. "You can sit," Keanu said, pulling off his coat. Eli slowly sat on the bed's edge. Looked around like it was the fanciest place he'd ever seen. Keanu went to the small bathroom. He turned on the tap, washed the blood off his arm, and pressed a towel against the cut. It stung, but he was used to that. Pain was just a visitor now, never a stranger. He returned to the room and sat in the chair across from Eli. That man tonight. He was dangerous, Keanu said. Eli nodded. "I've seen him before. Near the shelter. He hurt you. Not me, but others." Keanu took a deep breath. He had planned to end that man's cruelty tonight. Instead, he'd saved a boy. And now, things were different. "Do you trust me?" Keanu asked. Eli hesitated, then gave a small nod. "I think so." New smiled faintly. "That's enough for now." He pulled out his phone and texted someone, a name Eli couldn't see. "Do you have a place you want to go?" Keanu asked. "I used to have a sister. Maybe she's still in Brooklyn. I don't know. Do you want to find her?" Eli looked up. His eyes were scared, but something sparked in them. "Yes." Keanu nodded. "Then we'll try." The heater clicked on. The room filled with a soft hum. Keanu leaned back, his eyes tired but sharp. "Why did you help me?" Eli asked suddenly. Keanu looked at him. "'Cause someone once helped me when I was alone," he said, "and I never forgot it." "Who?" "An old man. He found me in a church. I was about your age. Cold, angry, full of questions. He didn't say much, just gave me a blanket and a sandwich. He never asked who I was. He just said, 'You'll be okay, son.'" Eli listened quietly. "Sometimes," Keanu continued, "you don't need answers. You just need someone to see you and not look away." Eli blinked slowly. "You don't look away," the boy said. Keanu nodded once. They slept that night. Keanu in the chair, Eli on the bed. The city outside never stopped moving, but in that small room, the world paused. For once, neither of them had to run. The next morning, Keanu woke first. His arm was stiff but bandaged. Eli was curled up under the blanket, still sleeping. The sun crept through the dusty blinds. Keanu stepped. Outside for a moment, a car pulled up across the street. A woman got out. Short hair, dark coat, sharp eyes. She crossed to him. "You called me," she said. Double quotes, "Yeah, didn't think I'd see you again. I need help. Kid needs to find his sister. Maybe you can use your people." She studied him for a moment. "You're not the same." Keanu looked back at the motel door. "No," he said softly, "I'm not." She took the paper he handed her. It had the sister's name. "A possible address. I'll check," she said. "Thank you." She turned to leave, then paused. "You going soft, Wick?" He didn't answer. Inside, Eli stirred, sat up, looked around. "Where'd you go?" he asked when Keanu came back in. "Just outside. Checking on something." Eli rubbed his eyes. "Is it okay if I stay with you a little longer?" Keanu sat on the bed's edge. "You can stay until you're ready," he said. "Ready for what?" "To go home, wherever that ends up being." "Bye." It was quiet for a while. "What if I don't have one?" Keanu placed a gentle hand on the boy's shoulder. Then we'll make one. Just then, the door rattled. Keanu stood, hand on his coat again. But when the door opened, it wasn't danger. It was the woman. She held up a photo. We found her, your sister. Name's Lucy. She's been looking for you, too. Eli's mouth dropped open. Tears welled in his eyes. Can I see her? Soon. She said she's in a shelter not far. Eli looked at Keanu. You really found her? Keanu smiled. I didn't, he said. You did. By surviving. They packed up quietly. Keanu paid cash. No names. Just the way he liked it. Before they left, Eli looked at the gun on the table. You carry that all the time? Keanu picked it up, checked it, then slipped it away. I carry it so I don't have to use it, he said. Eli nodded. Double quotes. I want to be like that. Keanu looked down at him, heart aching a little. You already are. They stepped into the morning light together, but what waited at the shelter would test them both, because not every reunion brings peace, and sometimes the past follows closer than you think. The reunion thee stood outside the shelter, a small building made of brick and peeling paint. Above the door, a crooked sign read, Hope Center. Keanu had seen places like this all over the world. Most people walked past them, never stopping to wonder what kind of stories lived behind those walls. But today one of those stories was walking beside him. Eli's fingers trembled as he reached for the door handle. Then he pulled his hand back. What if she doesn't remember me? Eli asked in a whisper. Keanu crouched beside him. She will. And if she doesn't want me? Keanu placed a hand on Eli's shoulder. Family doesn't forget. What? They don't stop wanting each other. Eli looked into Keanu's eyes, searching for something, maybe courage, maybe hope. Then he nodded slowly. Together, they pushed open the door. Inside, the air smelled like old furniture and cleaning spray. A woman behind the counter looked up, surprised at the sight of Keanu, but said nothing. She simply pointed toward a hallway. Room 4, she said. They walked in silence. Eli's steps were small, hesitant. Keanu stopped at the door, then knelt to Eli's level. Do you want me to go in with you? He asked. Eli shook his head. No, I want to do this by myself. Keanu gave a small nod. I'll be right here. Took a deep breath, then opened the door. Keanu waited in the hall. Seconds passed, then minutes. He heard nothing from inside. No yelling, no crying, just silence. He leaned against the wall, watching dust float in the sunlight from a nearby window. Finally, the door creaked open. Eli stood there, his face wet with tears, but he was smiling. Behind him, a young woman appeared, maybe 20. Her eyes looked just like Eli's, wide, soft, scared but full of something else now. Relief. Thank you, she said to Keanu. He nodded once. They hugged tightly as if afraid to let go again. Keanu stepped back and gave them space. This moment wasn't his, it belonged to them. But just as they turned to walk inside, Lucy paused. Are you? Him? She asked. Keanu stayed silent. The one they talk about. The one who, Eli answered. For him, he saved me. Lucy stared at Keanu, tears brimming. Then thank you, she said, for giving me my brother back. Keanu nodded again, then walked away quietly. He didn't need to stay. The mission was done, but something didn't feel right. He stepped outside the shelter and looked up at the sky. It was overcast, heavy with clouds that looked like they might break open at any moment. His phone buzzed. He checked the message. It was the woman from earlier, the one who helped find Lucy. Her message read, We have a problem. The man you let go is not gone. He's looking for you. And he's not alone, Keanu sighed. He knew it was coming. Mercy had a cost. And now he had to face it. He walked around the block, then called her. How many? He asked. 3, maybe 4, all armed. He's telling people you went soft, that you let a target go. They think you're weak now. Where are they? Moving toward the shelter. Keanu's heart dropped. He turned and started walking. Fast, then running. but it was too late. A black van had pulled up outside the building. Inside, Eli and Lucy sat on a worn couch, laughing softly. For the first time in a long time, it felt like home. Then the lights flickered. Lucy looked up. Outside. Footsteps echoed. Keanu burst through the front door, just as the first man stepped in behind him, holding a gun. Down, Keanu shouted too. The staff? People screamed and ducked. Keanu tackled the man, knocking the gun away. He moved with purpose, no hesitation. The old John Wick was back, but only to protect. Eli, Lucy, get down, he yelled. More men rushed in through the back. Keanu moved like a shadow, blocking punches, redirecting blows. His mind was clear, his focus sharp. But it wasn't just a fight, it was a message. They were here to test him, to see if he still had it. He did. One by one, he took them down. Not with rage, not with hate. With precision, but one man slipped past him. He stormed into the hallway where Eli and Lucy were hiding. Keanu followed. Fast but not fast enough. The man raised his gun. Don't, Eli shouted. The man looked down at the boy. You again? Keanu's voice came like thunder. Leave him. The man turned, aimed at but Eli stepped in front of Lucy. He was shaking, but he stood firm. You're not scary, Eli said. The man's hand trembled. Then a sharp sound echoed. A chair flew through the air, knocking the gun away. Keanu tackled him again. This time, he didn't hold back. The fight ended quickly. Silence fell over the shelter again. Police. Sirens wailed in the distance. Keanu sat down, breathing hard. Eli walked up to him. You came back? Keanu smiled, his face bruised, his shirt torn. Of course I did. Lucy wrapped her arms around her brother again. I thought it was over. She whispered, It's not, Keanu said. But now, you're not alone. They sat there together in the middle of the chaos, finding peace in each other. Outside, the clouds finally broke. Sunlight poured down on the street, and somewhere deep in the heart of the city, a legend. Changed shape from a killer to a guardian. But the shadows weren't done yet. And neither was Keanu. The message of a police came quickly after the fight. But Keanu had already disappeared by the time they stepped inside the shelter. He didn't wait for questions. He never did. He left behind a short note on the front desk, just 4 words written. In a rush, protect the kids. Always Lucy read it and folded it quietly, tears welling in her eyes. But Keanu didn't go far. He watched from a rooftop across the street. Blood dried on his knuckles, his arms still aching from the fight. The sun was out now, but the warmth didn't reach him. Not yet. He knew it wasn't over. Letting that man go in the alley had started something. Weakness was like blood in the water to people who lived in the dark. And now, they were circling. His phone buzzed again. This time, a video. Keanu opened it. The screen showed a boy. Not Eli. Another child. Scared. Tied to a chair? Behind him, a man stood holding a knife. Not the one from before, but someone Keanu knew. A ghost from his past. The voice was rough. You forgot your old world, Wick. But your old world hasn't. Forgotten you? You want peace? Earn it. Meet me tonight, or he dies. The screen went black. Keanu closed his eyes for a long moment. He had tried to walk away, to be something different. To save instead of destroy. But sometimes to protect. Peace. You had to walk through fire one more time. Back at the shelter, Eli sat beside Lucy, holding her hand. Neither had spoken much since Keanu left. Staff brought them food and blankets, but Eli only picked at his plate. Do you think he's okay? Eli asked softly. Lucy looked at him. I think he's always okay. That's what makes him who? He is. He's more than that, Eli whispered. He's good, Lucy nodded. Yeah, he really is. Just then the door opened. The woman who helped find Lucy stepped in. She was breathing fast, her coat damp with sweat. He's going after them, she said. The people behind the video. Lucy stood. Who? What video? The woman hesitated. They have a child. They're using him as bait. To draw Keanu out? Eli jumped up. He has to go. They're trying to trap him. Lucy shook her head. We have to stop him. But the woman frowned. You don't stop a storm, Lucy. You just pray it doesn't take everything with it. What Keanu walked into? The old warehouse district near the river just after sundown. The buildings were rotting. Most had been abandoned for years. It was the kind of place where people disappeared without anyone asking questions. He entered one of the larger buildings. Silence met him like a wall. But he kept walking. The floor creaked under his boots, then a voice echoed from above. You're late. Keanu stopped. I came alone, he said. You always do. A door creaked open on a walkway above. A man stepped into the light. Older, scarred, eyes like rusted metal. You could have killed me years ago, the man said. Should have, Keanu replied. But you didn't. And now look where we are. Where's the boy? Close. But first. From the shadows, more men appeared. At least 6. Maybe more. You still think kindness makes you stronger? The man asked. You let one kid live? How many could die? Keanu didn't move. Didn't flinch. You're wrong, he said. Kindness is what separates us. No, the man hissed. It's what weakens you. A whistle blew. The men charged. Keanu moved like a storm unleashed. Not like a man defending himself, but like someone protecting something sacred. His steps were swift, his hands precise. This wasn't about revenge. It was about redemption. The fight tore through the building. It cracked, glass shattered. Breath turned to fire, but Keanu didn't fall. Blood on his lip, dust in his eyes. He kept going. Then he saw the boy, locked inside a cage, hidden behind. Crates got. Keanu rushed forward, but the man was waiting. A blade sank into Keanu's side. He gasped, but didn't fall. He turned, elbowed the man hard, and sent him crashing into the wall. Keanu grabbed the cage door and ripped it open. The boy inside trembled. Are you him? I'm Keanu, he said. You're safe now, outside the warehouse. Headlights appeared. It was the woman and Eli. They had tracked him. Eli ran into the building, against every warning. When he saw Keanu holding the injured boy, he froze. Then tears rolled down his face. You saved him, Eli whispered. Keanu looked up, barely able to stand now. He's like you, Keanu said. Alone, scared, brave. Eli helped him stand. The woman took the boy, wrapped him in a blanket. Lucy arrived minutes later, breathless. She saw the blood, the bruises, the broken look in Keanu's eyes, and she knew. He had given everything. Again, for someone else. They got Keanu into a car, his body leaning against the door, eyes half closed. Was it worth it? The woman asked him. Keanu looked at the 2 boys in the back seat. Yeah, he whispered. It always is. As they drove into the night, the city glowing quietly behind them, a new truth began to form. John Wick had once been a name people feared, but Keanu Reeves, a name people would one day remember for a different reason, because he chose kindness again and again. Even when it hurt, but fate wasn't finished with him yet, because the world still had one more test waiting. One more chance to prove who he really was. The fire that followed the days after the warehouse rescue passed like slow-moving clouds. Keanu stayed in a quiet safe house just outside the city, a small cabin tucked between thick trees. Lucy and Eli visited often. The boy Keanu had saved, his name was Nico, stayed nearby under protection, slowly learning how to smile again. Keanu didn't speak much. He spent hours sitting on the porch, his wounded side still healing, watching birds fly through open sky. He held a cup of tea in one hand, a book in the other, but his eyes rarely left the horizon. It wasn't over. He felt it in his bones. Some people said peace was the opposite of war, but Keanu knew better. Peace was war that hadn't knocked yet. Lucy came by one morning with Eli and Nico. The boys were running in the backyard, pretending sticks were swords. They laughed like they had never known pain, like they had always been free. Lucy sat beside Keanu on the porch. You okay? She asked. Keanu took a sip of tea. I'm breathing. He said, That's not what I asked. He looked down. They're coming, aren't they? Lucy asked. Keanu nodded. They don't let things go. Not people like me. Not choices like mine. Lucy stared ahead. And let's be ready. The woman Keanu's old contactor arrived that night with a file. Inside were photos, names, movements. They're not just angry, she said. They're afraid. What you did embarrassed them. A legend goes soft. Saves kids instead of finishing hits. Now every young fighter out there is questioning the code. Good, Keanu replied. She gave a short laugh. Yeah, it is. But now they want to burn everything connected to you. You, the kids, Lucy, even me. Keanu stood, folding the file closed. Then we end it, not with death, with truth. Truth doesn't stop bullets. Keanu's eyes narrowed. No, but it gives them a reason to miss. The plan was simple, but dangerous. Keanu would go to the core meeting. An underground council of enforcers and contractors who kept the city's shadows moving. They were gathering soon. Once every 5 years, no weapons allowed, only words. Old rules from older times. Keanu sent a message through the woman he wanted. To speak, they accepted, not with trust. Lucy begged him not to go, Eli cried. Nico held his hand and asked if he'd come back. I will, Keanu said softly. I always do. He dressed that night not like a killer, but like a man stepping into history. Black shirt, clean coat, eyes full of stillness. They drove to an old building beneath a silent bridge. No police, no guards, only cold eyes and quiet rules. Inside, Keanu stood before the table of 8. None smiled. One man, bald with silver earrings, spoke first. You made us look weak. Another added, your mercy created chaos. A woman at the far end said, you changed the game. Now people think. They have a choice. Keanu stepped forward. They do, he said, and they always did. You were John Wick. I still am. But you let a target go. You chose a child over the code. Keanu looked around the room, because that boy reminded me who I used to be. They were silent, you all. Call it the code, he continued. But you forgot why it was made. It wasn't for money. It was for balance, for order. No, for justice. He paused. But if the code tells me to kill a child to keep my name, then maybe the code is broken. Murmurs rose around the table. We should vote, someone said. But the oldest man there, his name was Arn, stood. No vote. What? The others asked Dodderin, walked slowly to Keanu. I remember you when you were just a name in whispers. I remember when you fought for more than money. I remember when you buried your wife with your own hands and walked away from all this. Orin turned to the table. If he's broken the code, then maybe it's time we fix it. Outside, the woman waited. When Keanu stepped out, she looked surprised. You're alive, she said. For now, what did they say? It's time for something new? But peace doesn't come easy. That night, the safe house burned. Keanu returned with Lucy and the boys to find it already in flames. Eli screamed. Nico froze. Lucy gasped. Get back. Keanu shouted. He rushed forward, but something stopped him. On the mailbox, scorched and blackened, was a symbol across. Slashed through, not from the council. This was someone else. Someone older. Someone worse. Keanu single quotes, his face darkened. Who did this? Lucy asked. Her voice shaking, Keanu looked into the fire, flames dancing in his eyes. An enemy I thought was dead. That night, Eli sat beside Keanu, under the stars. Why do they hate you so much? He asked. Keanu didn't answer for a long time. Then he said, because I stopped being what they wanted me to be. Eli thought about that. I don't want. You two go, the boy whispered. Keanu looked at him, and maybe I won't. But even as he said it, he knew it wasn't true. The final storm was coming, and this time, someone wouldn't make it out. The last stand morning after the fire, smoke still clung to the trees like a memory that refused to fade. Lucy and the boys were safe, but shaken. Keanu had barely slept. He sat alone by the ashes, holding a piece of burned wood in his hand. It used to be the frame of the front door. Someone had sent a message, someone from his past. The cross with a slash through a tit was more than a symbol, was a mark. A mark from a man Keanu once believed he had killed, a name he had buried long ago. Malik was once like Keanu, fast, feared, trained in silence. But where Keanu walked away for love, Malik had stayed for power. And now, all these years later, he wanted what was left of Keanu's life, his peace, his people, and the last thing Keanu cared about, the children. Keanu didn't tell Lucy the full truth, not yet, but the woman, his contact, knew what the mark meant. "He's back," she said over the phone. "I know. What's your plan?" Keanu looked at the kids playing near the broken fence. "Keep them safe. Whatever it takes." They moved again. Far outside the city, to an old farmhouse surrounded by open land and tall fences. No roads nearby, no neighbors, just sky, dirt. And when Keanu prepared quietly, he didn't say much. But every night, he taught Eli and Nico little things, how to stay calm under pressure, how to listen, how to breathe. He didn't teach them to fight. He taught them to survive. Lucy watched. Him, worried. She could see it in his eyes. Something was building inside him. Something final. One night, the wind picked up. Keanu stepped outside and saw headlights far off in the dark, crawling like wolves approaching prey. He turned to Lucy. "Take the kids. Go to the cellar. Don't come out until I say." Lucy grabbed his arm. "Don't do this alone." Keanu looked at her. His voice was quiet. "I have two." They came in black trucks, 5 of them, rolling to a stop like shadows with wheels. Men stepped out, wearing dark clothes and masks. But Malik didn't wear a mask. He stepped out last, tall, lean, and grinning. "Keanu," he called, like they were old friends meeting for coffee. "Malik, you always had a soft spot for children. Now, you're raising them?" Keanu said nothing. "I burned your safe house. I'll burn this too. And when I'm done, I'll leave a mark so deep." Keanu pulled out his gun slowly. "It to the ground?" Malik raised a brow. "No tricks?" he asked. Keanu shook his head. "No more killing. Just me and you?" Malik laughed. "You think this ends with fists?" "No," Keanu said. "It ends with choice." Malik stepped forward. They fought no weapons, no mercy. Fists crashed into bone. Blood hit the dirt. The men surrounding them didn't move. They watched like it was a ritual. Keanu took blow after blow, but never fell. Not for himself only, for what stood behind him. The family he had chosen, the boys who still had a future at last. He landed a strike that dropped Malik to his knees. Keanu stood over him, chest heaving. Malik pulled a hidden blade from his boot butt. Before he could lift it, Keanu stepped back, not afraid, not weak. He just looked at him. "You still don't understand?" Keanu said. "I already won." Malik spat blood. "How?" Keanu pointed toward the farmhouse. "Because I became something." "You'll never be." From the cellar door, Eli peeked out. He saw the other men, confused. Then slowly, they began to walk away. One by one, they left Malik in the dirt, defeated not just by fists, but by truth. The world had changed. Even the shadows knew it. Hours. Later, Keanu sat with Lucy, a bandage wrapped around his ribs. The sun was rising. "Is it over?" she asked. "I don't know," he said, "but today we're safe." Eli ran over, holding Nico's hand. "We made pancakes," he shouted. Keanu smiled. The first real smile in weeks. "Let's eat," he said. They sat at the small table together, steam rising from plates, laughter filling the room. For the first time in a long time, Keanu felt something settle inside. Him, not peace, something better. Belonging, months passed. The farmhouse became home. Keanu built a new porch. Lucy taught art classes to local kids. The woman, his old contact, visited sometimes, bringing fresh bread and old stories. Eli and Nico grew stronger. They laughed louder, and Keanu, he planted trees. One for each child he had saved. No names. No plaques. Just roots. And every morning, he stood among them, watering the soil with quiet hands. The legend of John Wick. Faded, but the story of Keanu Reeves, The man who dropped his gun to protect a boy lived on in whispers, in hearts, in growing things, because in the end, he wasn't remembered for who he took down, but for who he lifted up.